13 minutes now to go to the hour of 7 o'clock. And you know, sometimes while you're reading, you can't wait to get to the next chapter. Well, neither can we. This next chapter we're turning to introduces us to Pamela Haynes, who is an award-winning author. Good morning to you, Pamela.
Good morning, and good morning, Barbados. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And you're joining us from the United Kingdom. What's the weather like today?
It's too hot. It's too hot. We're trying to stay cool. Yeah, we complain about the weather all the time, so we're complaining about the sun being too warm as well. We'll stay consistent.
Who would have thought in jolly old England that your complaint would have been for the heat? Well, it's good to have you.
But we're just not used to it, and we're just not set up for it. But we're going to enjoy it all the same.
Before you know it, it'll be time for autumn. So let's look at now this book you've written called Loving the Brothers. And when I saw it, I'm wondering, what is Loving the Brothers about? What can you tell us about the book?
Yes, I wrote Loving the Brothers back in 2018, and it was published by Marcia M. Publishing House based in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. Loving the Brothers, I have three main protagonists, three women, three black women. One of them is of Bajan descent, and they meet up and end up in relationships with the Morgan brothers just behind me there, as you can see in the shot.
Yes.
The three brothers here, who are Manley, Junior, and Marcus Morgan. And the book examines how they fall in love, what married life is like, and some of the challenges to their relationships as well. So that's in a nutshell, without giving away too much. That in a nutshell is what the book is about.
Just by the image alone, there are three different types of men. One is a priest. The other has a Rasta hairstyle and locks, it looks like. And so they're going to be challenged by those particular ideologies that those individuals represent. And then in the book, I suppose, we're trying to figure out how do you, one, keep the marriage, and how do you, when you relate with each other, share your stories, and what kinds of advice one gives to the other.
Yes, I mean, the brothers are very close. As you can see from the picture, they are attending a funeral. It's their father's funeral, and it's the first time that the brothers have been together for quite some time, and it's the first time that they're meeting the women as well, that the women get to meet each other and talk quite frankly about what's happening in their relationships. So that, in a nutshell, presents all the dilemmas and looks at how the women support each other through those challenges.
This book in 2018 calls you to win Author of the Year, the award, Loving the Brothers. How was that for you?
It was absolutely fantastic. So you could imagine the book was published in January, and by the April I picked up my first award for Author of the Year, which was absolutely fantastic. The event organizers treated us like royalty. We really had a wonderful time, and I really used the award as a platform to open other doors for me, to give me the opportunity to do other things. So
there you are meeting with Minister John King. That must have been quite a moment as well for you. I came to Barbados.
Oh, absolutely. I came to Barbados to show our friends around the island. I've been going backwards and forwards to Barbados since 1980. And on this last occasion in 2020, I got to meet the minister, which was absolutely fantastic, and present him with a copy of my book, and also to catch up on all of his music and his achievements. He's been in the background of my life, you know, growing up in a Bajan household. His music has been in the background of my life. So it's been wonderful to actually meet him in person.
What's the foundation for this book, though? A lot of times people either write from their own creativity or they write from their own experience. Which is it for you?
For me, I was working in the criminal justice system for over 30 years. First of all, for Her Majesty's Crown Prosecution Service, and then after that I moved over to the probation service, and the bulk of my career was spent there. I've had a variety of different roles, and one of the jobs that I had was working as a domestic abuse facilitator. So I got to work directly with perpetrators of domestic abuse, and did a lot of work around challenging their behaviour and equipping them with new communication skills. So I was privileged to hear hundreds and hundreds of stories from men. Very often the men were also victims of domestic abuse when they were growing up as children and witnessed things that they shouldn't really see and didn't really have any other strategies of how to function and create healthy relationships. So that, but my main motivation was, rather than writing their stories, let me make up a fictional story
Mm-hmm.
based on the cycle of abuse and put it in a book. So I was
Yes.
approaching a milestone birthday and I wanted to let the world know that I was here. And what better way of creating a legacy for yourself than putting it in a book?
You've written a book called Loving the Brothers, but abuse has no color distinction at all. Abuse is abuse regardless of whether you're Caucasian, black or Indian, whatever you are. But you focus though on the black experience. Is there any particular difference that the black experience has that so vastly different from any other experience?
I think if you accept that racism is endemic, then you also have to accept that many people do not like involving the authorities in what they
Yes.
call a private matter.
Hmm.
So that could be shame, embarrassment, pride, but also fear of what the consequences may be of involving the police or the criminal justice system into what is a private matter. So our men, if we call the police, is 6 police officers going to turn up at your door and cause a scene? Are they going to be dealt with more harshly by the system? Are my children going to be taken away, for example? So
Hmm.
there's lots of fear that stop women, in my opinion, that stop African and Caribbean women from getting the help and support that they need. So the book explores those issues as well.
Oh. I'm told that you're also now looking at the other book. Let's talk about the other book that you're
Yes.
writing.
Yes, I wrote my book during lockdown in the UK in 2020. So that book is the sequel to Loving the Brothers, called Loving the Sisters. So I finished that book in August 2020, and I'm at the stage now where I'm looking to publish the book later on this year. So to all my fans in Barbados who are waiting for Loving the Sisters Part 2, I can confirm that it's happening. I'm looking at November 2020.
Just 2021. Just now it's going to be available.
21, yeah. Mhm.
And would it also be addressing a similar theme, or is it somewhat different?
Yes, in Loving the Brothers, I left the readers on a cliffhanger.
Ah.
So, Loving the Sisters is the conclusion of the story. So people who want to know what happened to my characters, Patty, Charmaine, and Rose, will get some answers to the questions that they've been harassing me with as well.
Well, that's a good harassment, no doubt. Did you ever at any time imagine yourself, because you've worked in a different capacity, and here you are, a published author. Did you imagine this at all?
No, not at all. I mean, you dream dreams for yourself, but the way it's unfolded, with the support of Barbadians in the UK, with I've been asked to be a judge on the Miss Barbados pageant
Ah.
a couple of years ago. It's just opened loads of doors for me to do other things, including coming back to Barbados and having a really successful book launch at Shuttle House Books in
Hmm.
town, which was just absolutely fantastic.
So how can people, not just here in Barbados, but those overseas who are watching as well, get a copy of Loving the Brothers and then pre-order for Loving the Sisters?
Yes, the pre-order link will be coming out in September, so you can look out for that. To my knowledge, there are still copies of the book available at Pages in Barbados and also at the Teacher Training College where Chateau House Books has relocated.
Hmm.
Amazon and the usual places. And if you talk to me nicely, if you DM me on my Instagram page, I can perhaps get you a signed copy as well, because I know that people have been wanting a signed copy.
I love that if you talk to me nicely. I just love the way you said that, Pamela. So, were you born in Barbados, or were you happen to be just born to Barbadian parentage?
No, I was born in the UK. I was born in London, in
Mm-hmm.
East London. My parents obviously hail from Barbados. My mum was from Collington,
Mm-hmm.
and she grew up in Poole in St John, and my dad is on the border of Christchurch and St Michael. He's from Dells Road.
Right.
But my family, I've got family all over Barbados, from College Savannah in St John to Greens in St George, in town in Britain's Hill,
Look at you.
all over the island,
Look at you
really.
calling the
Yeah.
places as though you lived here for a significant moment of
Well,
time.
yeah, I mean, as I said, backwards and forwards since I was
Yes.
12 years old. So I know the island quite well, got
Mm-hmm.
connections with Commermere School. Yeah, so yeah, really love coming to Barbados and promoting the island as well.
Fantastic. Pamela Haynes, we are immensely proud of you. And so we're happy that we've been able to at least know more about Loving the Brothers. It's available, folks, at the Pages bookstore. It's available from Amazon. It's also available on Instagram. Talk to her nicely. And of course, the pre-order to the book Loving the Sisters will be available very, very soon so that we can all begin to read the pages of this exciting novel. So Pamela Haynes, thank you so much for joining